If you don't know what we're doing here, we're redoing the NFL Top 100 because I think a majority of us can agree it wasn't that great. So I'm comprising my own list. If you missed out on yesterday's video, I went over 81 through 100. So today will be 80 through 61. But before we go into that, I'm Steven Gardell, better known as What's Crackalackin'. It's your boy Broshmo, just in case you did not know. So go ahead, become a bro and subscribe. Leave a thumbs up if you enjoy the video. And if you're catching this on Fan to Fan Network, well, click the link and subscribe. Thank you. But how did I comprise this list? Well, I decided first I narrowed it down by players that played 50% of their either offensive or defensive snaps for the team. I just figured it would be fair if these players played a majority, if not all of the season. And on top of that, I'm taking into consideration positional value, which means quarterbacks kind of are high on this list, yet none in today's wild. And I'm going to take into consideration their 2019 performance, as well as overall value to their team and how they actually performed for their position group. So with that all being said, I guess let's just start the video. And we're going to start from 80 being Teron Armstead out of New Orleans. The dude's one of the best tackles in all of football, at least when healthy. And last season, luckily, he was pretty healthy. He only missed one game, but he was really good. He allowed no sacks on 22 pressures. One of the best pass blockers. Like I said, as long as the dude's healthy, he's among the cream of the crop. At 79, I have Kyle Van Noy out of New England, now with the Dolphins. Hopefully you can produce like you did last year, because it was a career year last year, and that's why he finds himself on this list. He had 7 sacks, also a career high 58 pressures. Also, he was very good in coverage. At 78, I got Darren Waller out of the formerly Oakland Raiders, now the Las Vegas Raiders, but he had a great season. It really came out of nowhere. He produced, he was third among targets, among tight ends, and second in receptions, and he averaged 6.6 yards after the catch. Also had 11 broken tackles, and he actually had one of the highest catch rates among his targets, and that was better than Travis Kelce, who you'll see much higher on this list. Regardless, Darren Waller, the dude was a stud. Unfortunately, only 3 touchdowns, so 78. At 77, Allen Robinson. The dude produced for the Bears. He didn't care who was behind center. Unfortunately, it happened to be Mitch Trubisky, who is not on this list. Believe it or not, I know, right? He's the GOAT. But the dude was very good. He hauled in 98 receptions for 1,147 yards and 7 touchdowns. And just for once, just like to see him play with a quality quarterback. I mean, I guess Nick Foles is a Super Bowl MVP. Yeah. So at 76 is Alexander Johnson out of Denver. Another guy who got his first taste as a starter week 5. Kind of came out of nowhere, and it's a shame he didn't start sooner because he was very good, very solid in coverage, only allowing 265 yards, and he produced 15 pressures and 11 hurries, and that was only on 100 pass rushing snaps. He also added 33 stops, and the dude, honestly, can't wait to see him this upcoming year. Anthony Costanzo coming in here at 75. He only allowed 3 sacks on 34 pressures, but what is key is Jacoby Brissett, because the dude holds onto the ball for quite a while. He likes to sit in the back of the pocket, admire the sights, and then maybe he'll look down his receivers and then go with his check down option, or maybe just run outside the pocket. So yeah, Costanzo kind of had a very difficult job trying to protect Jacoby Brissett. Yeah. And then at 74, I got Cortland Sutton out of Denver. The dude made some of the sickest catches all season. He was constantly having to haul in bad pass after bad pass. It didn't matter if it was Brandon Allen or even Flacco himself, which Flacco actually didn't start. for too long. And then luckily Drew Lock came in and they were actually pretty safe with the play calling, so he wasn't totally throwing terrible passes, but it could have been better. That's something, you know, Drew Lock needs to work on. He wasn't necessarily the most accurate from a clean pocket in college, but he does bring a lot of hope. But this ain't about Drew Lock, it's about Sutton. The dude, despite everything against him, calling in pass after pass, was able to get over 1,100 yards, and he actually secured 6 touchdowns along the way. So good on you, my friend. 73, Brandon Graham, the Eagle himself. This guy goes disrespected year after year. At least it feels that way. He's never been a high sack total guy. He ended up coming with, I think, 9 sacks last season. But he's always near the top in pressures and in hurries, actually. He was 11th with pressure, or tied for 11th with 67 pressures this season. And then he was 9th with 47 hurries. He's a quality run defender as well. The dude's been a mainstay on that Philadelphia defensive line, and it's easy to see why. At 72 is Marshall Yanda. Goodbye, friend. Yeah, it was his final season, which is kind of wild because he was still playing at a very high level. He was the he had the 3rd highest run blocking, I guess, rating by PFF, and he only allowed 1 sack, and that was on a ridiculous. He only allowed 9 pressures all season, which is wild for a guy that started over 900 snaps. So we'll miss you, my friend. At 71, I got Dalvin Cook out of Minnesota, and you might be like, he should be a lot higher on this list. Well, again, I said it last video, running back position is very devalued. It's just not as valuable as it once was. 2 offenses, the league's turned to a passing league, so you need to be able to produce in the passing game, which he did. He did. I mean, this offense basically ran through him. He managed to run for over 1,100 yards, threw 13 touchdowns in there, and no running back finished with more yards after the catch than Cook did. But he also added 7 drops to that. He also was, at least among the elite running backs, those top tier guys, he also had the fewest yards after contact. So that's why you see him here at 71. And at 70, I got La'el Collins, the Dallas Cowboy offensive line. The first one's here, and there's more to come. I'll just say that. The dude was an animal last season, and which he was the 3rd highest run blocker of all offensive linemen. He only allowed 2 sacks. This guy, he's a guy that continues to get better year after year, and it's real easy to see why he was given an extension just over a season and a half ago. The dude is starting to approach an all-pro level. I'm just projecting here, I guess. At 69, nice, is Terry McLaurin. The dude was phenomenal. Yeah, he was actually one of my when he came out of the draft. I think he was in my top 5. There's something about a wide receiver that's willing to lay the lumber and just knock a potential tackler's head off. He's one of the best blocking wide receivers out there. He's also a very smooth route runner, and despite, we talked about the poor quarterback play that Sutton had to deal with. Well, it was worse for McLaurin, man. He had to deal with the likes of Dwayne Haskins, who actually got more accurate as the year went on. But then, like, Chase Keenum, it just wasn't great. It wasn't a great situation for him. Yet, he somehow, when targeted, he produced a passer rating of 118.3, which is very, very good. And picked up 7 touchdowns along the way. I can easily see him being being one of the best, like among the elite in years to come. Let's just get him a quarterback. And then next, I got actually Amari Cooper, which might come as a surprise because he's best known for his disappearing acts in Dallas. But you can't argue that upon his arrival, he really changed that offense, really gave it some juice. And I really took Dak to the next level. He's one of the best route runners in the league. He cut down on his drops this year as well, and he almost finished with 1,200 yards very quietly. He also had 15 receptions of 20 or more air yards, which was among the best in the league. So yeah, a little more consistency. Then yeah, this guy could be a top 20, just saying. And then 67, I got Jason Kelce out of Philadelphia. Now, I only had 2 centers on this list because, like I said in my last video, center position is probably the least valuable position on offense, unless your offense is still running a fullback. But yeah, so I only included 2 of these guys, the other one being Ryan Jensen. And these guys aren't actually too far apart. Kelce actually edged Jensen out here because he was above and beyond the far better run blocker. But while he did allow 20 more pressures in the passing game than Jensen, it only resulted in 1 more sack than Jensen. So he allowed 2 sacks compared to Jensen's 1. So again, regardless, both these guys played pretty darn good last season. Then we're going to go with another Eagle here at 66, Fletcher Cox. And hear me out, it was actually a down year by Cox's standards. Like he still finished 6th among or he still ended up finished 6th among interior defenders in pressure with 56, but only resulted in 4 sacks. He was actually significantly a worse run defender than he normally is, only finished with 20 stops. But like I said, keep in mind, he's here finishing 66 on this top 100 because it was a down year by his normal standards. That's right. This was a down year. And he's still at 66. At 65, I got Keenan Allen, man. He remains one of the most sure-handed receivers in the league, catching 70.7% of his targets. And yes, he does leave a little bit to be desired as a yards after the catch type of guy, but he's a chain mover. He was Phillip Rivers' most reliable weapon. He finished 4th in first down receptions. The dude is just reliable. He's trustworthy. He's loyal. You're loyal. At 64, I got Myles Garrett. Watch out. He might knock your head off. Yeah, before he decided to try to murder Mason Rudolph, he was on his way to a very, very good year. He probably would have been among the best of the pass rushers this season, but he only managed to play 10 games. Still over 50% though of those defensive snaps. And he finished with 9 sacks, 49 pressures, 31 hurries. So yeah, for only 10 games, he did pretty darn good. And then at 63, I got Quinton Dunbar. Another guy, man, hopefully we'll see him play in a better environment in Seattle. That's if we see him play. But he had a pretty darn good season last year with the Redskins and basically playing on a team very devoid of talent, mainly offensively, but yes, defensively as well. It's not like they had a lot going on in the secondary there. Granted, later in the year, some parts got better, but he was hurt by then. This guy, he had 4 interceptions. He had 4 pass breakups. He only allowed a completion rate of 56.9. The guy was just very good when all the parts around him were not. And then Aaron Jones coming here at 62. The dude was good. The only problem was he wasn't really given a full workload, at least the workload he deserved. And it's a shame because when Green Bay would give him the ball, whether it was a reception or a carry, the Packers would actually do very, very well. Granted, I think they only lost 3 games last year, but still, the games were a lot easier when the ball was in his hands. He finished with over 1,000 yards, but he had 16 touchdowns. And as a receiver, he produced 48 yards, 3 touchdowns. And like I was saying earlier, he didn't get a large workload, yet he was among those guys that were getting big workloads, as he had 51 broken tackles. So yeah, if this man carries, or I guess let him walk to a better team, because I feel like he deserves it. And then finally at 61, I got Kenny Galladay out of Detroit. We all know where he's from. But the dude dearly missed Matthew Stafford, but not as much as you think. It was just things were a little harder when he was being thrown to by the likes of Jeff Driscoll and Tyler Blouse, I don't know. But he still ended up leading the league in touchdown receptions with 11. And I'm telling you, he didn't have the best catch rate. He only caught 57.5% of his targets. But a lot of that came in the second half of the season when the passes were a lot less accurate. So yeah, expect him to be better next year and probably higher on this list. But that's it for this list, at least this part of the list. Tomorrow I will have 60 through 41. There we go. Numbers are pretty difficult. But let me know what you think in the comment section below. And until next time, you be easy, my friends. Later.